Sadly, this is characteristic of a lot of UK road environments. It's very hostile and intimidating. It feels very much like a space for cars, and if you cycle on that road, you do get close passes. It's not somewhere you feel comfortable. Most people won't consider cycling because when they look and see roads like this, it's just so off-putting to them. And it means that really people are forced to use cars and they don't have a choice. Some of the research that I've done talked to people who could cope with cycling on a road like this, definitely didn't want their families cycling on it. So even people who are willing to cycle on it themselves, it excludes people they know from cycling on it.
I would cycle on it if I had to. I'm not sure if I would choose to cycle on it every day if I had to do that commute, and I would certainly have second thoughts taking my children on it. Many kind of developed countries have obesogenic environments, and what they mean by that is that the environment people are living in is conducive to people putting on more weight. And there's two aspects to that. We eat too much, we consume too much, but we're more sedentary when we don't move around enough. And so that's one of the impacts of a car-dependent society, which East Bartonshire certainly is. And more people are out in their cars. There's less people commuting by bike or walking. There's very few children who cycle to school. And so that has an impact on physical activity, but also has an impact on weight.
Well, because it's protected by a curb and separated from the motor traffic, it's a much calmer experience. Subjectively, you feel a lot safer. You're not having to constantly watch your back. Yes, when you build this kind of infrastructure, you do get increases in active travel. It doesn't necessarily happen straight away. So in Cambridge and in the iConnect study, 2 years was the point at which you started to see measurable increases in cycling. But it does happen, and you can also look at citywide studies. You can look at, for example, Seville, where they've put in quite a lot of infrastructure that looks a bit like this, and they went from virtually no cycling in 5 years to around 8% in a city where people said nobody will cycle here, it's too hot. So it does happen, it will happen.
I think if this route can be completed from Milngavie into Glasgow, then it will have a massive impact and be important in kind of Scottish terms, because we need these kind of routes to start to challenge the car-dependent economy that we've created.
In New York, they have good data on how much on shop takings, retail takings. So they found actually when they put in place protected cycleways, then compared to control sites, they were seeing up to around a quarter more takings. So shops were benefiting in terms of 25% more takings, which was quite a substantial finding for them. Yeah.
For people using it in the weekends, it would be popular. But as I understand it, this short section just now has become well used, and as we've been filming, we've seen plenty of families going past. I think what you can tell is if you design this kind of infrastructure, people will use it.
It's the kind of experience cycling should be. Cycling is something that should be fun, should be enjoyable, should be relaxing and sociable, but it's not if you're cycling along the road. But if you're cycling on the cycle track, it's very different.